I'm finally ready to talk about Ellen.
Troll freak, according to one of her star guests. Many people have come forward to expose Ellen over the years, but now a performer Ellen exploited for power is speaking out. She wanted to make him her little Justin Bieber pop star, but once this singer Greyson failed, Ellen completely abandoned him. So let's get into it. Nobody ever likes to fill up their gas. It's so expensive, and personally, it holds me back from traveling. But Upside is an app that rewards you on the money that you spend. All you have to do is open the app wherever you're filling up. I went to a gas station in the middle of LA, and gas was really pricey. But it feels great to earn cash back on the money that I'm spending. Gas was going for $5.45 for regular, but when using Upside, I was able to save 25 cents a gallon, which adds up quickly. You can also use Upside at some of your favorite grocery stores and restaurants. You have to use your card to earn points, and once you're done shopping, your cash will appear in the app. And when you're ready to cash out, you can use bank transfer, PayPal, Apple Pay, or receive an e-gift card, which is my favorite part because you have so many options to choose from. Download the free Upside app in the Apple Store or Google Play. Use my promo code SLOAN, SLOAN, and get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Thank you, Upside, for sponsoring this video, and enjoy. So Ellen DeGeneres is being exposed again, but this time it's not by one of her employees. This article came out from the Rolling Stone, and it's titled "Completely Abandoned. Greyson Chance is finally ready to talk about Ellen." So I guess Greyson is ready to get this off of his chest because he claims that he felt trauma as a teenager after being discovered and then completely abandoned by Ellen DeGeneres. He said, quote, "I've never met someone more manipulative, more self-centered, and more blatantly opportunistic than her." If you guys don't know who Greyson Chance is, I didn't either until I saw how he became famous, because he went viral back in 2010 as a 6th grader. He performed the song Paparazzi by Lady Gaga at his school, and he sounded amazing. That video is still so good. He sounds amazing. I listened to it like 5 times as I did research for this video. And it took only about a week for this video to go viral and for him to end up on the Ellen show. We were so unsure of what we were getting into, and the person that helped cure all of that skepticism and chaotic energy was Ellen. So this was pretty unexpected for Greyson. I mean, back then, not everything went viral like they do now on TikTok, where things are viral for a day and then we forget about it. I mean, this video went viral and everyone was watching it. Greyson took his first ever plane ride to appear on the Ellen show, where he says that Ellen presented herself as a guardian and a mentor to Chase and his mother. Quote, "I remember her pulling my mom aside and saying, 'You're never gonna have to work again a day in your life.'" That is such bad energy, so Hollywood, so child star. Ellen told Chase, "I'm going to protect you. I'm going to be here for you. We're going to do this together," which ended up being a lie. It's clear to me that Ellen was trying to make some money off of Greyson. She wanted a Justin Bieber 2.0 all to herself so that she can control him and his career. After interviewing Greyson on her show in May 2010, she ended up giving him $10,000 and a new piano. She also created a record label called 1111, which was part of Interscope, and she signed him as her first act, her first, I guess, recording artist, which is a lot of pressure. But it does seem like Greyson was just thrown into it. I mean, he's 12 years old. He got on his first plane to go to LA, and he's already signed to a record label. Even during that interview with Ellen, he was speaking to Lady Gaga. So Ellen ended up hooking Greyson up with some of the most high-profile managers. They worked with Lady Gaga and Madonna. He got a deal with WME. He got a publicist. He was literally thrown right into the making of being a huge star. He actually ended up releasing his first EP that year, 5 months after signing with Ellen. He ended up going on tour, and they claim that Ellen increasingly became really invested in the singer, but also she became domineering and way too controlling. And it only got worse from there, because as Chase's career intensified, so did Ellen's control. She was like a hidden eye over his career. My whole week, my whole month, my whole year could change with one text message from her. That was horrible. There was one time he says that Ellen was sent a video of a scheduled performance for a different network. She didn't like what she saw, he says, and made him and his team redo the entire thing. If she had an opinion of any sort, the whole thing would change. So she not only controlled his life, his schedule, but also his creativity. Like, the music he was putting out was completely under her discretion. Chase claims one time he performed in Cleveland on the Miranda Cosgrove tour, which I wish Miranda still made music. He ended up getting an advanced copy of Justin Bieber's documentary called Never Say Never. I guess Ellen gave it to him, and she wanted him to watch, but he claimed that he was so exhausted from touring with Miranda that he didn't end up watching the documentary, which doesn't seem like a big deal. I don't know why Ellen is like super obsessed with Justin. If you guys have not realized, throughout the years, she's like very pressed on him, always putting him on her show. She loves Justin Bieber. They hang out personally when they're not doing public things. And Greyson claims that he would never forget this because Ellen called his mom, and he remembers hearing what was going on the other side of the phone, and Ellen was just yelling at her. What type of mother are you? Do you realize I went out of my way to get this for you, and he can't sit down and watch it? His mom says that people forgot how old he was. Ellen was not very happy that he hadn't watched it because she thought that it was important for him based on what Justin was doing. I don't remember exactly what she said, but she was berating. Then in that same moment, she told his mom, Lisa, that she wants to speak to Greyson. She told him that disappointed isn't even remotely what I'm feeling right now. It was clear that, okay, I'm a pawn in your game. So Greyson ended up watching the documentary because Ellen was so upset, a little bit like too upset that he didn't get a chance to watch it. After he finished touring with Miranda, he then hit the road again and toured with Cody Simpson. Then he ended up going on tour in Asia, where he gained a significant following. This kid was working a ton, 14 to 16 hour days, balancing tours, press, music recordings, as much as an adult would work. He actually had a teacher who traveled with him, and supposedly his management would work with the teacher to try to figure out, like, how can we like work him more and you can like still get away with teaching him. Greyson was in his teens, and he was at a point in his life which was crucial for his development. Working so much at a young age is going to stunt his ability to figure out who he really is. And of course, Ellen was controlling every second of it. His mother claims that several times Ellen would go through his clothes and be a little controlling about what he wore. He was specifically never allowed to wear leather due to Ellen's commitment to veganism. Interesting. She would come in and look at a rack, yell at stylists, berate people in front of me, and say, "This is what you're wearing on the show." He remembers. She was just degrading to people, which we know this already. I mean, Ellen's employees have come out and spoken out against her, and there are horror stories. Remember when one person said that like Ellen would go and like cancel cookouts that were happening at the studio because they would be cooking meat and like I guess the smell of it would repulse her? Which I get veganism, but like you cannot, like, these people are trying to eat and have a cookout and you weren't invited to the cookout, yet you're canceling it because you can't handle it. One former employee said that this is no surprise that Greyson went through this. This employee claims that Ellen was manipulative and opportunistic. This person ended up having a wake-up call one day, and they decided not to follow the money anymore because I guess the Ellen show pays pretty well, but they claimed that this show, working on this show, was a literal hell. And of course, other employees have exposed Ellen for a toxic work environment. There was a huge 2020 BuzzFeed article, which I've talked about in a previous video, where executive producers had been insulted by Ellen and put in uncomfortable situations, you definitely need to go check that video out. But let's talk about the fallout between Ellen and Greyson, because eventually his music started to underperform and ticket sales dropped in 2012. Ellen ended up disappearing. The once controlling savior, who Greyson says had promised him and his family the world, became completely removed. So she gave up on her Justin Bieber dream because she saw that the numbers weren't doing well, and she decided instead of like stepping in and trying to boost him up, she's going to just get out of there. He released his second project in 2012 through Ellen's label. After it tanked, the TV host completely abandoned him. Then Interscope, the record label, dropped him and key people on his team. Greyson tried calling Ellen but never heard back. So he was given everything that any, I guess, performer or wannabe star would ever want and need, and then once he like slipped up a little bit, they completely all left him alone. And at this point, he was still in his mid-teens, so it must have been traumatizing for him. Quote, I couldn't get a hold of her, couldn't talk to her. He ended up returning to the show a few times, and he claims, whenever I would come on the show, it was such a fake smile. She wouldn't even ask, how are you doing? How are you holding up? It was just like, here's what we're going to talk about. We'll see you on there. I think this is a testament to Ellen and her show that she does not care about the people on the show. She literally does not care. She checks in, checks out. She's giving her performance. She doesn't think about them when she goes home. It's not her money that she's giving them. It's all part of this show, and it's all a facade, which is crazy because there are people over here watching this show every single day, and they're watching someone who's so disingenuous. So after Chase was dropped by the label, he ended up going home and trying to live a normal life. But like I said, he did come back onto the Ellen show. In 2015, he was 18 years old, and he came out as a gay man. And I guess he was invited to the Ellen show to talk about it, and Ellen told him that she was so proud of him, but only on TV, not backstage, because she didn't ever speak to him backstage like many of her other guests. So then Greyson goes away again, and he has some resentment towards Ellen because on TV she acted so proud of him, but in reality she really played no part in his coming out or really the person who he's become like she promised she was going to. I tried my best to find that one interview and I could not find it anywhere, so it's been scrubbed from the internet. But one interview I was able to locate was from 2019, and he had a song coming out. He had gone to college. He had kind of quit the music industry for some time, and he came back, I guess, to promote on Ellen, which, I mean, if you really don't like her, why are you back there? But I guess this was really the root of his stardom. So if he wanted to have any success on this new project, he kind of needed to go and show face.
12, when I first came on the show, to 18, I was working as a musician, sort of saw every side of the industry, and I think by the time I was 18 years old, I was living out in LA, and I think I was just tired. I think I was creatively exhausted and a bit beat down too. And so I decided to go to university.
There are definitely some people out there who claim that he is a cloud chaser. I mean, everyone's, that's an easy thing to do. I don't necessarily agree that he is a cloud chaser, but I did notice that, I do my research and I find inconsistencies. And when I read this interview, he claims that when he looks back on his time on the Ellen show and he watches those interviews, he looks at his eyes and he can see so much anxiety. I can just see so much PTSD because I'm holding on for dear life going, I need this TV gig. I was 100% faking it, and I felt like she's 100% faking it with me too. He ended up never returning to the show after this, but he's done some interviews. I did find one interview from the Zach Sang show, and honestly, I love Zach. I saw him outside a bar called Beaches 2 weeks ago. I recognized him immediately. He was so nice. Guys, I've met a lot of people in LA recently, and there are so many people who are so mean. Especially the drag queens. I met 2 drag queens. Very rude. And I think that was the same night I also saw Zach, but he was so nice. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're an inspiration. I literally love him. Anyways, he had Greyson on his show, and Greyson claimed that when he looked back, he liked watching the interview. So I just found that really different when you feel like you're experiencing PTSD watching it back, and then compared to what he says in this interview.
Are you haunted by the paparazzi video also?
Now I actually think it's really cool. I, for a long time, was never, I don't want to watch that. I don't want to see it. And then now I look back at it and it feels like sort of new, and now it feels like so long ago, where it's like it's kind of cool to think about the start of things. But I'm not like going at home cooking pasta and like let's get on YouTube and search it out. Like, that's not my vibe.
Last question I had was, are you going to go back and visit Ellen and send her off into the sunset on her final season?
No.
Okay.
Got it. Greyson Chance, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out.
That was the best way we could have ended that. Have fun with that one, Twitter.
But nonetheless, he claims he's never going back on that show, and that remains true. He claims that he's been asked twice to return back to the show, and he claims that he doesn't want to. And he was actually invited to come back for one of the last shows that they were going to have, which would have been huge for him to promote his current project. But he claims he just cannot do that. And actually, there's a TikTok I want to share with you guys that he posted on his page, and I want you to hear what he has to say about this article.
The article came out today on Rolling Stone, and if you can see the headline, it says that I'm finally ready to talk about Ellen. It also says that the singer opens up for the first time about how he's never met someone more manipulative, more self-centered, and more blatantly opportunistic than her. And I stand behind all of it. You know, I've been wanting to tell this story now for multiple years and was repeatedly told not to. But the truth is what you saw on TV and what was sort of pitched out, you know, to the mainstream just wasn't what was happening behind the scenes. And I think now that I'm 25 and I'm older, I can recognize that what happened to me as a kid was not cool. It was not okay. And I've had to wrestle with so much of that PTSD and so much of that trauma as I've been growing up as a musician and as I've been fighting in the industry to continue to make music and to still do this. And I'm sure people will have a lot to say about the article and how I maybe appear ungrateful for her efforts in the beginning. And the truth is that I am grateful for her giving me a start. But I'm more grateful to myself for the moments when I got dropped and everything went awry when I was a kid. I'm thankful to 15-year-old me that picked up the pieces and kept on going and kept on fighting. And the last thing I will say is I am so continuously inspired by people that tell the truth and that muster up the bravery to tell the truth when it is difficult, when it's non-convenient, and when it's painstaking. That's why I did this, because I needed to tell the truth, and now it's finally out there. So read the article. Peace.
I think it's really important for people to speak out about their experiences in Hollywood. It's not like Greyson, you know, he went through a lot here. I mean, we've talked about way worse things on this channel, but this is a story of someone who was promised something here and did not get it and was ultimately used as just a cash cow. And when the cow ran out of milk, then Ellen the farmer was out of there. But anyways, I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Here's my email, and I'll see you guys in a new video soon. Bye, guys.